Alzheimer's tests. It's kind of scary to me. I don't know what those tests would involve. If it's going to be like the Tuskegee test, was it Tuskegee where they gave all the people syphilis? I'm not sure. Uh, Page 261, report required. They need to talk about the transition of post-traumatic stress disorder. Is it post-traumatic? Oh, I got it backwards. Patients to private care. Army has been approved to carry out research on breast cancer. Another odd. Not sure what that's about. This next one here is the Congress wants to encourage the Army to work with the Wounded Warriors Project. I am glad to see this. I sold, or was a friend of mine, and I sold 6 gold claims last year, and 10% of the money that we made off that was donated to the Wounded Warriors Project. I think it's a great project. It's severely underfunded. It is a privately owned one, but I do support it. I think that our warriors coming back need to be encouraged to get back into the world. For what we were doing anyway was making claims available for wounded warriors to pan for gold on. That's what we were doing, in addition to 10% of all cash sales. Let's see, this one here, you may want to look into it if you're into DARPA and new technologies. It gets kind of confusing. It's changing basically a law. When I dove into it, it's regarding, essentially, from what I could tell, the government should not be restricted by contracts that would limit the advancement of technology. So basically, it enables the government to look at more contractors for the DARPA programs, whether they be good or bad. Um, 282, improving services for disabled veterans that own small businesses. There's a large section there of the training that's going to go for veterans, disabled vets that have small businesses. This includes in 296 information to small businesses regarding Arms Export Control Act. This is a bit of good news here. The military must purchase flags from U.S. producers. It's about time. Uh, 340, reduce the geographical command around the world to only 4 locations by 2020. It's a consolidation of forces, it looks like. Report on 358, a report due on nuclear forces. That would be our nuclear forces, the deterrence, and terrorism. This is a talk about the conversions of functions performed by civilians transferred to the military. I have a friend that I met recently, and she's been working out here at a local base for a long time as a driver, transporting military people around. And she had mentioned something about this a few weeks ago that, or I guess it was a few months ago now, that a lot of the civilian jobs are being taken back over again by the military. So I think this may be related to that. A change in the number of days that the Secretary of Defense has to report any misconduct in the military. Uh, Basic new requirements for listing soldiers or civilians employees as missing. Here we go. Start getting into international stuff here. Once again, we've extended our support of counter drug and counterterrorism activities in Colombia. So if you look into that program, it's historically that program has been very bad, and it may have led to, and has, I believe, been proven, led to the smuggling of cocaine out of Colombia into the United States by dishonest people in our armed forces. We have a 400, a sense of Congress, which I think is just their comments, made statements on Mexico and Central America, and rather ironically, or shall I say, what would be the word? I guess it would be irony. It would be, oh, I can't think of the word right now. But basically, talking about how Mexico and Central America have become destabilized by drug cartels. The same drug cartels that were armed by the ATF. On the one instance we know of, it's all national security now. Let's see. This one here is interesting. Prohibition of funds to build military prisons for U.S. in the U.S. for Guantanamo detainees. So the Guantanamo detainees will not be brought to the USA. Here's bad news for the detainees. No detainees in Guantanamo that are not U.S. citizens can be released this year. That makes me wonder how many U.S. citizens we have in Guantanamo. And if there are there, they can be released, I guess. But if you're not a U.S. citizen, you're in Guantanamo, you got a while. And also, no upgrades for the recreational facilities in Guantanamo. No handball for the Arabs. Let's see. On 420, this is interesting. The military may not use Russian flagged vehicles to transport troops. This kind of goes into some of the things that talk about how us and other countries are actually friends. At least our militaries are friends. At this point, we see a change in this. The military may not use Russian flagged vehicles to transport troops. It's interesting. I didn't know that was even happening. Air Force may not reduce the size of the force in the air base in Portugal, which is interesting. This one here is a big one. Not really, but uh, the Congress prohibits the U.S. military from using drones to kill American citizens. The exception noted would be unless they are in direct combat with the U.S. government. It doesn't define what combat is in that. I'm assuming it means you have picked up arms and are an armed rebellion against the government at that time. You can be killed by a drone. We have rules here for protecting our electronic pulse devices. A lot of people don't realize we have these. We do have these, and there's a plan to protect them from other EMP devices. Uh, this is interesting. WikiLeaks. Uh, Steps required to stop the release of classified documents. In the NDAA, it says, I believe 13 or 17,000 classified documents in 2014 were stolen and released on the internet. I wasn't aware of that. I didn't get a chance to see them that I'm aware of, but there's a lot of documents, classified documents that have been released, so they need to plug that hole there. Uh, the progress on armored commercial planes to transport defense employees. That's kind of cool. Making armored commercial aircraft to transport defense employees. Let's see, the long report required on the long-term cost of Iraqi enduring freedom. You can see there's a lot of pages there. They need a lot of information, not just including monetary costs, but the cost to local economy, the cost to our soldiers, the cost to the nation. This one here on 465 is increase the sale or donation of military equipment to support border activities. If you're worried about our border not being sealed up, I've said it before, our border has not been sealed up since the 50s, and even at that time, it's for a short amount of time. But if you're looking for border control, this could be good news. If they're using surveillance equipment on our borders that was used by the military, could be good news. This here, I'm not sure. This is a review of quadrennial defense. That's a quadrennial, I believe, is 20-year, 40-year. It's a review of the defense capabilities of the United States in the future. You can look up on page 495 in the NDAA if you want to see what that's about. This is interesting. Enhancing the role of the military in Europe to counter subversive operations by the Russian Federation. This is a big one, y'all. This is official that the talk of the Cold War that's happening between the United States and Russia could very much be a reality. I thought it was just a smokescreen because having read the previous NDAAs, we are in support and cooperation with Russia. And this is the first one I'm seeing myself where we're starting to see a break there, where we're starting to see the military is being asked to take on a confrontational role against the Russian Federation. So, if you have a TV looky box, I'm telling you nothing new, but I can tell you that what you're seeing on the news might have some grounding in fact here. Military, here's another scary one. Military should increase availability of older equipment to federal, state, and local policing agencies. The top items that need to be given to local agencies is surveillance equipment. The cops need to spy on us more. NDAA 2015 on page 505. You can see the details there. There's a national commission on the future of the Army has been created, or excuse me, will need to be created. The president will appoint people to this commission, as well as the Department of Defense, and it is what it says, a commission to determine the future of the Army and the needs of the Army, manpower, military equipment, technologies, etc. It's going to be a committee or a commission